Hey, thanks for stopping by at Twisted Art Designs. Today I just wanted to show some Rolodex Memorydex cards that I created, and I didn't do a video showing the how-to, so I'm just going to explain each one real quick. And this video is really just more for inspiration to give you some ideas for your altered Rolodex cards. This little cute owl was a die-cut die that I had, and then these are the Tim Holtz pine needle die leaves, so I just cut those out, and then I used pen over the top of a brown paper to make them green because I wanted them to have some dimension. I used a die to cut out the shape, the Rolodex shape. It's a Memorydex card, so it's not really an altered Rolodex, the regular Rolodex cards, but I did start with this base. It is shiny metallic blue, navy blue cardstock. I added some stars to the back just with some Posca pen, and then I made them glittery with some glitter Nouveau drops. I used colored pencil and pens on the little owl just to add some interest to him so he wouldn't just be flat like the die cut. And then I printed this saying, "Some days I just don't give a hoot," on my computer, used a circle punch and colored pencil to make it look like a moon behind him. This is a fall themed, kind of Thanksgiving-ish, but it'll go in my Rolodex and I'll look at it all year round because it's just a good message to be thankful always. And this is the same wreath leaf die, but I punched it out of 5 different colors of cardstock, and then I basically cut them apart. This middle one is a die cut that is a wreath that looks like an aspen log. And so I use that as my focal, and then I just kind of put all the other little pieces behind it and stacked and layered them. The little leaves here, I used watercolor paint. I used the die cut on watercolor paper and did watercolor paints to make them look like fall leaves that had fallen off a tree. I used some double-sided, really thick scrapbooking cardstock and punched out the base out of a Memorydex type die, and then just went around the edges with some distress ink. I used little tiny rubber stamps, lettering stamps, to make the Be Thankful. I love this one. I used a Memorydex punch on really heavy 140-pound watercolor paper. So it was hot pressed watercolor paper, and I did watercolor. I wet the whole thing. I dropped all colors, kinds of colors of blue on it, and then I used the Ken Oliver color burst powders. So I sprinkled some of that on, and that's what made the really cool looking mottled background like that. This dark color down here is acrylic paint. I just bounced on some acrylic paint with a stencil brush. This is a rubber stamp, that's a rubber stamp, and that's a rubber stamp. I did hand lettering for the saying of Embrace Change. When I stamped my image, I stamped it several times so that I could cut pieces out and pop them up to make them dimensional and layer them. I love to do that with stamping. And same with the dragonfly. Actually, no, I stamped him once, but I bent his little wings and popped him up so that he looks realistic and not so flat. I put Nouveau drops on his body to make it shiny. And then I brushed Spectrum Noir glitter ink over his wings after I colored them with colored pencil. I put Nouveau drops that are glittery in the background, some Nouveau drops in the center of the lotus flower. I just distress inked around the banner, and that's it. But I love how this one turned out. Embrace Change. So cute. And good old Justine, she shows up here, there, and everywhere. If you follow my channel, you'll know that I like to do paper dolls in my art journals, and I like to design paper doll sets. And I have an Etsy line that is Justine's Paper Doll Adventures, and I got the idea to just take the upper body and make my own little card to put it on. So I used some scrapbooking paper that had buttons on it for the background, and then I corner rounded it and then made my little tabs in the bottom. And I used an upper body for Justine, and this outfit is from the clothing collection, and the hair is from the Hairstyles. And this is the base Justine body. So I made her cute outfit, and then I did the theme to be sewing. So it was like she sewed her own outfit, and the saying, happiness is homemade. So in the background here, I used tissue paper that was coffee dyed, and I stamped a little vintage sewing machine. I stamped right on the card with a measuring tape. This is a little stamp I had of a little pin cushion, and I popped it up and put some pins in it. So it's actually got straight pins stuck in it. Then I had this dress form was from some Etsy die cut images. There's a pair of scissors, brass scissors that are glued on, some little hooks and eyes that are stamped right onto it, and then some more of that coffee dyed paper in the background. And then I went around the edge of her with some black charcoal to give her a shadow, and her arms are movable so she can move her arms, and I just thought that I'd put her in a cute little fashion pose here, showing off her cute little outfit. So happiness is homemade, and there is another fun way of using the Justine paper dolls. So I'll have a link in the description box below. If you haven't seen those paper dolls, you can check them out. I hope you enjoyed these fun examples of making some altered Rolodex Memorydex cards. So maybe it gave you some inspiration, some ideas you haven't tried. Fish around in your rubber stamps, see what you can come up with, and find some fun images. Use some watercolor paper as background, layer them, and do all kinds of fun things. So I hope you had fun, and thanks for stopping by. Have a great day. Make some art, because art soothes the heart.